Hello and welcome. There are a lot of amazing experiences that can only be tried in VR. Because of that, everyone should have the opportunity to try VR games and experiences at least once before deciding if it's for them or not. The problem is that for most people, excepting a lucky few, the first couple of VR experiences are limited by a condition named VR motion sickness, which doesn't let them play games that use smooth locomotion, or in severe cases, any locomotion at all. In this video, I want to share my experience in overcoming this problem, hoping that it will be useful to someone else who still struggles to play VR games without feeling sick. On the first day, when my Quest 3 arrived, I was really excited, and after playing a bit of Beat Saber and other games that didn't require me to move at all, I wanted to play Population 1. After about 10 minutes in the game, I almost threw up my dinner in the middle of the room. This was my first encounter with VR motion sickness, and it hit like a truck. I watched some videos on this topic before, so I was sure that my IPD was set up correctly and any other technical aspect was on point. Because of that, I realized I'm just naturally prone to VR motion sickness and will need a period of adaptation to this new experience. In the following week or so, my strategy was to play the VR games that didn't give me any problems for about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and after that to enter a game in which I could move using smooth locomotion. I set up a timer to see if my tolerance was increasing after my body was getting used to spending time in VR. As soon as I start to feel motion sick, I will stop playing VR entirely for that day in order to give my body time to adapt and understand that this was not a harmful experience and it is something that will happen every day from that point on, so he should do his best to get used to the feeling. Attention! This is an important point I saw emphasized by many other content creators. Don't try to force yourself to continue playing after you feel the motion sickness kicking in. If you don't follow this advice, it's very likely that your body will learn to associate VR with the feeling of motion sickness, and you will start feeling bad even in the games you previously didn't have any problems. One point that is worth mentioning is that some people recommended to try and start using the teleportation as a locomotion method and then gradually trying to change that with smooth locomotion as a way of reducing the chances of getting motion sickness. Some others say that using snap turning might reduce the motion sickness, but from my experience, at least for me, it's made it worse. Even without taking into account that fact, I want the full immersion that a VR game can offer, so my training from the beginning was focused on enabling me to play using smooth turn and locomotion. In the beginning, it didn't seem that my tolerance was increasing, so I started trying things like playing sitting on a chair or moving one step at the start of the movement I needed to do in the game, and then coming back to the initial position. This method didn't work so well because not all my steps were of the same length, which meant that little by little I was losing my initial position. More importantly, it didn't seem to help me prolong the time until the motion sickness appeared to end my playtime. But after 3 weeks of persistence, I started to see improvement, especially after discovering a simple trick. My brain seemed to accept VR locomotion much better if I turn in real life instead of using the joystick on the right controller. After starting to play like this, the time I could spend in games that require smooth locomotion increased gradually, and after about another week or two, finally, the one that gave up first was my Quest 3. At that time, I felt an overwhelming sense of achievement. That meant I had no problem playing a game like Asgard Wrath 2 for more than 2 hours straight. If you want to try this method without destroying something in your room, I recommend either to start playing this way when sitting down on a gaming chair or buying a small carpet or doormat that will allow you to feel with your feet if you are spinning outside of the play space. I understand that this might not work for everyone, and for ones who play PC VR with a cable, it is pretty much impossible to spin in place without tying yourself up. But taking into account that for most people who play Quest standalone and wireless PC VR, this will not require an additional investment, I think it is worth a try. Some additional tips that I didn't especially focus on myself are to first play some MR games like First Encounter, Thrill of the Fight and Drop Dead the Cabin Home Invasion, which will allow your body to move naturally while still seeing elements of a virtual world. While it's not a direct solution, it might help your body adapt to having a screen glued to your face. Another solution might be to drink some ginger tea an hour before your play session, because it might help to calm down your stomach and prevent the sick feeling from appearing as soon as before. Or you could try to point a fan toward yourself while playing, because keeping yourself cool might help with the potential headache provoked by the motion sickness. In the end, I want to mention that most people, except some unlucky few, will naturally adapt to VR locomotion and get rid of motion sickness just by being patient and spending gradually more time playing in VR. If there is one advantage that we humans as a species have besides our intelligence, it's our ability to adapt to pretty much every situation if we have enough time and motivation. For the ones who reach this far, if you have managed to get rid of motion sickness to other means, please let me know in the comments. And if you watch until now, I want to thank you for your attention and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.